fighting purrs and when to use them in your spring gobbler season. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about that in this video. Let's talk about fighting purrs. You know, that's something that's overlooked in the spring gobbler season a lot of times, especially when people are calling turkeys. And now I'm not a huge fighting purr proponent. I don't do it all the time, but I do it when the situation is right, and they will work if you are in the right, situation scenario. So we're going to be talking about when a fighting purr is used. Now, when we say fighting purr, we're talking about when turkeys are fighting. It makes sense, don't it? Because you got to remember the pecking order is all year long. We've talked about the pecking order, and in other videos, over the years, we talked about the pecking order. There's always a boss hen. There's always a boss gobbler. All throughout the year, spring, summer, fall, winter, like even right now in February, there's a pecking order out there. Well, in the spring when we're hunting turkeys, of course we have the sex drive of a gobbler, and a lot of times them dominant birds, they're displaying their dominance, and so they're fighting for who can breed the hens. And sometimes the dominant bird will be overtaken by another bird, and he'll become the dominant bird, and the one that was the boss will become the subordinate. It just kind of goes back and forth a lot of times. So they're fighting. And fighting purrs can be really, really good in the right situation. Now, years ago, a few call companies came out with the old push button yelpers, and they came out with a double push button thing that tried to make a fighting purr, and I never did too much like them. I never thought they sounded very good, but there was some people that had luck with them, but I just never cared for them because I just didn't like the way they sounded. That was just me though. But a lot of people have success with it, but I personally, when it comes to fighting purrs, I try to use a mouth call, or my favorite is to use a pot call or a slate call, and that's kind of what I do. So here's my slate call. It's a brand new call from Spring Fever. It's the Matt Dale Signature Series OL Sly, and we made it in slate over glass. You can do this if you're a beginner turkey hunting or hunter. This is your first year. You've never turkey hunted before, or maybe you just got into calling the last couple years. You can do this, and all you're doing is you're taking your slate and you're coming across like a purr almost. That would be a purr. All you're doing with the fighting purr is coming across, and you're just going. You're just kind of making that erratic kind of noise. Now, you're not going to be perfect at it because turkeys ain't perfect at it. You think about it, they're fighting. They don't have to know what they're doing. They're just making noise. So you don't have to be perfect doing this. Now, when I have a mouth call, I throw a mouth call in, and if you practice and just start doing that erratic purr and with your slate and your mouth. And a lot of times I'll take my hat off. Now make sure turkeys ain't around where they can see you. But if I got a situation where a gobbler's hung up out there and he's just not coming in anything and he's under the hill or something and I can't see him, man, I'll take my hat off and I'll start beating the ground. I'll start hitting my leg. I'll start making a bunch of noise like wing beats up there, scratching the leaves, because that's what they're doing. So you got to remember all this and just act crazy. They ain't gonna see you because they're not, they're either under the hill or on top of the ridge, and you're down here or whatever the case. But just make sure the turkeys can't see you when you do this. So fighting purrs can be really, really a good thing to use when the situation, like I said, calls for it. Now, when does it call for it? Well, a few years ago, here's a good example. The turkey right here that you're seeing in the picture. This turkey was an old Missouri monarch. I mean, this turkey was just a hard turkey to kill. Now in Missouri, when I lived in Missouri, you got to quit at 1 o'clock, and it's still like that. 1 o'clock's the cutoff time. So at 1 o'clock, you know, well, it was about 12:30. I was headed back to the truck. I was headed on out to the truck. And this has been several years ago. And man, 12:30. I was just going through there calling. You know, wasn't even hunting really. Just going through there making noise on my call. And more one gobbled. I mean, he gobbled right there. And boy, I just sat down right there. I just went up there and sat down because he was close. So, you know, and most turkey hunters that's hunted for a long time knows 12:30 turkeys or up in the middle of the day turkeys, you know, they're pretty much going to come in, pretty much. Not all the time, but man, usually you get a turkey fired up in the middle of the day, he's ready to play. Well, I just went up there, sat down, and started working this turkey, and he just come off this other hillside into that creek, across the creek. And when he did that, son, I knew I was in the ball game. But I only had 30 minutes of legal shooting. I mean, 30 minutes to go to the cutoff time. So long story short, the turkey got under the hill. I was right on top of this little ridge, like I said, headed back to the truck. Right under the hill, he hung up right there under that hill. He would not come any closer. It like that drove me crazy. And I'm just constantly looking at my watch. I've got the gun up. I'm constantly, and it's 12:35, and it's 12:40, and it's 12:45, and it's and I'm purring to him. I'm clucking to him. I'm doing everything you're supposed to do, and he's come all this way, and he just would not top that little ridge. He wanted to stay right there, and he wanted me to come over that ridge to him, and I couldn't move. Well, it's getting like 10 minutes to 1. I got 10 minutes to go. And I remember looking at my watch, and I thought, man, I've done everything possible in a short period of time to get this turkey to me. Well, he just keeps gobbling, and he just keeps every time I barely purr and cluck to him on the mouth call, he called. So it was 5 minutes. I'll never forget. It was like 5 minutes to 1. I reached down, got my slate call, and I just started doing that fighting purr. I just thought, I've tried everything. He wasn't but like 70 yards from me. He went like 70 yards, but he was just under the hill. And I just started, you know, because I tried everything else, and I was doing this. And boy, I throwed that gun up, and it wasn't, I'm telling you, if I'm lying, I'm a frying. It wasn't a couple of minutes. It was like probably 3 to 2 minutes to 1. I heard that thing running up that hill. I'm talking a dead run through them leaves. Sounded like a herd of deer coming up through there. I throwed that shotgun around to where the leaves were, and it wasn't just a few seconds later, that sucker pumped up on top of that ridge, stood his head up, come up there about 35 yards, and yeah, I laid him out. So that fighting purr got him broke and got him up there to where I was at. Does it work all the time? No, nothing works all the time. Nothing. But you'll never know when you can reach in them bag of tricks and pull something out that will get that turkey to break from that hung up situation and come right to you. You know, a few years ago, we started talking about gobbler yelping on the videos here, on the channel here. And it was amazing to me how many people thought that was some new call. Man, people was gobbler yelping back in the 60s and the 70s turkey hunting, in the 50s, them old time turkey hunters, long before turkey hunting was cool. Because gobblers have been gobbler yelping, you know, for centuries, but just nobody talked about it. Same thing with fighting purrs. Nobody much talks about it, but it will work. Just like gobbler yelping or just like any other call, it'll work in the right situation. You just try to use it. So try that fighting purr, get you a good slate call and or a good mouth call, get both of them, and it'll work for you. All you got to do is get out there, and when they're hung up, they're coming to nothing else, and you've tried everything else, try fighting purrs. And you'd be surprised how many times you might just hear that old gobbler running up through them leaves, coming to you, and you can lay him out. And hey, you just saved your hunt that day because of a fighting purr. So try that. Hey, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Just click that subscribe button down in the corner. I'd really appreciate it. Also, check out all the links below. Join me on Patreon if you're over on Patreon and you'd like to help us here because due to the monetization, a lot of it is getting demonetized when it comes to hunting content. So a lot of us YouTube creators that bring this stuff to you every year, we just don't get paid as much as probably we used to. But if you'd like to support Dell Outdoors with maybe $2, $3, $4 a month, or just something small, a little tip, I would say it, go over to Patreon and you can do that there. Also, check out all the links below. Check out my social media page, Facebook, Instagram. Come follow me there. Also, springfevercustomcalls.com, where you can pick up the brand new Matt Dell OL Sly slate call, slate over glass, and pick that up over there. They're in stock right now, but I don't know how long they're going to be in stock because, you know, if they sold anything like the OL Sly box call, they ain't gonna last long. So go over there and pick one up, and also if you don't have the box call, pick up the box call because it's a real turkey killer too. And also some of my mouth calls there on Spring Fever at customcalls.com. Also check out SOSO Outdoors, check out my website deloutdoors.com, and just check us out there. Also the store that's linked below where you can pick up the hat, the shirts, and all the other merchandise. Really appreciate everybody. Stay tuned to this channel, so make sure to subscribe because we got a lot more turkey hunting content coming in the weeks to come, and we will see you in the next video.